Hi, good evening. This Zoom session is geared at primarily discussing the organizational chart for my school and more importantly, discussing how it is that the actual framework is geared at assisting learning and teaching, supporting teaching and learning. To ensure that let's get into it. And I'm going to start by going to the instructional chart for my school. If you will bear with me, that will be on screen momentarily. And let me see. There we go, much better. Now, this right here shows us the administrative side of the school. And we start out with our superintendent, and immediately beneath the superintendent, the primary person in charge of all things will be our site administrator, and then followed by the principals with their respective grade levels. Um, just to be fair and to ensure that everyone is included, I did go ahead and include one or EC director, and then I also included the Dean of Students. The Dean of Students position is relatively new to my school. This was incorporated this year as one that would have someone who would want help with students' behaviors, pretty much stepping in before students had to be referred to administration for disciplinary infraction. So it would be somebody who is looking out for the best interest of the child, helping with to direct for counseling, redirecting, and ensuring that students are held accountable, but at the same time ensuring that they do learn and that they get the best out of their school experience. We do have two principals. These two principals have demarcations where we have K4 and then we have grades 5 through 10. Uh, our EC director, his primary focus is on our EC program, of course, and help ensuring that one, we remain in compliance, but two, ensuring that the framework has been established to ensure that our students' accommodations are being met as mandated by their IEPs or 504s accordingly. Now, the second aspect of it, and I went ahead and split the school into two parts to represent the two principals, of course. And I'm going to start out with the elementary division. With the elementary division, we have our principal, Ms. Tillman, but she works closely with an instructional coach. And this is where that support for teaching and learning, that's where the focus really comes in. Where the instructional coaches, she is going to work with these, I dare say, sixth grade levels, starting with pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second, third, and fourth grade. And the end result is a big part of what the instructional coach does is one, to review lesson plans, to um, observe classrooms, and then three, provide feedback. The major task here, especially as it relates to reviewing lesson plans, is to focus on the alignment of standards to the actual classroom activity, I would say to evaluate whether or not enough has been done in terms of teacher input in the lesson, the guided practice, the independent practice, the different activities that actually happen in that classroom, that if they're actually supporting the standard that is given in the curriculum, and secondly, whether or not that all of that will match up to what is in the tested curriculum. Now, the second part is we have the Midland High School, and in the Midland High School, Principal Dr. Dunham, and we talk about, or again, we have an instructional coach that focuses on these grade levels and play a very similar role in helping with alignment, especially focusing on the lesson plan. Here and throughout every single grade level, we do have a grade level lead. Now, I want to focus on the grade level lead just a little bit. And typically what happens with a grade level lead is they focus on primarily PLC groups, or PLC groups are done horizontally. And as such, a lot of what happens then is there is that one cross-curricular conversation where we focus on what is it that's going on in math and what is going on in science, for example, and how it is that we can, you know, help each other. So for example, one of the topics that we have focused, that we have worked on recently would be exponential functions. Exponential functions is explored in Math 1, but it's also a concept that the science teacher uses when they're teaching half-life. So we get that horizontal alignment of the standards. A second thing of that PLC grouping that I want to focus on is allowing for strategies. So, what strategies are being used in this classroom. We recognize that every single class is different, and as such, teachers will have to, use different modalities to ensure that they do reach their students. And as such, it's important that one, we have those PLC meetings to discuss the strategies that are being implemented in the various classrooms, then also allowing for this identifying strategies to help individual students. Um, in addition to the PLC grouping, we also want to talk about the instructional support programs, and I'm focusing on one, English as a second language, two, exceptional children, and then because we are a STEM institute, I did want to put this here as well. Or English as a second language ESL department, their primary focus is one, helping those students um, whose whose first language is not English, helping them to one, um, better master, I dare say, English, but also to work with them, giving them techniques as to what they could use to better understand the teachers. A big part of what happens out of the ESL is that we've done a few training sessions where they've given the teachers techniques that they can use to help these students who do not speak English as their primary language in their classrooms. We also talk about EC, and the EC department is a little bit bigger. And again, the focus here is on the accommodation in the students' individual educational plan and also their 504 plans, and just ensuring that we are in compliance and that those accommodations are actually being met. The last thing I wanted to touch on related to, and I'm just looking back at my notes real quickly. Last thing I wanted to touch on observation schedules. Now, whereas there is no established observation schedule, what happens is a lot of the observation so far has been done by instructional coaches. And these sessions are geared more towards being true coaching sessions, where the instructional coach visits the class, and the focus is on, student engagement and giving teachers, tips or strategies that they could use to improve the lesson. So one, it's almost looking at the entire lesson delivery process, and I say lesson delivery, taking it all the way back to planning, where we look at helping with writing better lesson plans. And a big part of that lesson plan process, and I'm talking specifically about the instructional coaches, focusing on the standards that are within the lesson, focusing on whether or not there is rigor within that lesson, focusing on whether or not there's differentiation to meet the different needs of the student. Looking at whether or not there is incorporation of Bloom's taxonomy, just to ensure that students are being exposed to those higher order questions. And then lastly, the observation of those lessons as well, just to ensure that one, teachers do deliver and to have those critical conversations where it is that's not happening, and formulating a true coaching relationship to help those teachers actually meet the objectives as they set out. One of the biggest problems that we continue And when I say we, I don't necessarily mean Alpha Academy, but one of the problems within the education sphere is focusing on what is written in the standard and what is taught in class, and also what is in the tested curriculum and how those three things align. And working working through this hierarchy, I think it does a really good job of that, simply because one, we have the instructional coaches that focus on the alignment of curriculum, focus on the activities that are happening in the class. Then we also have the PLC groups that are formed across grade levels that focus on those strategies that can be implemented in the different classrooms, just to ensure that we do have learning take place. Um, Again, this is the organizational chart. We have two principals. We do have 12 grade levels. And when I say 12 grade levels, separating kindergarten and pre-K as well. And again, we do have those teachers. One other thing I wanted to touch on is more so what happens in the younger grades, is one where we have that true collaborative planning, because every single teacher teaches the same thing. And as such, what will happen is that one teacher will take lead in a particular subject area, and as such will organize the activities that surround that area for that week. So whether it's math, whether it's spelling, whether it's reading, whether it is what social studies, whatever it is, you'll have one person who will take lead on that. And as such, that works in the elementary, just to ensure that they do have the rigor and that they're actually meeting the standard that they should meet. I thank you. And that's it for this Zoom session.